Hey everybody, my name is Chris Castro. I am the owner of Shift Inc., which is a leadership and training company. I am focusing on helping Christian marketplace leaders really get to a place as to where they are connected to Jesus in a new way so that they can partner with him more effectively within their sphere of influence. Today, I am excited. I have Lady Adey on my podcast. I am excited to have Ladey here. She and I met about 5 years ago, and she's gone through a really cool transition with her business over, like we all have, over the many years of our careers. Things ebb and flow, and God's been the centerpiece of all of her decisions. And so we're going to be speaking today about kind of a new focus that she's doing in her publishing business. But Ladey, I'm going to give you just a minute or two to kind of share about you.
Hi, well, it's great to be here, and great for to be interacting with your listeners too. And yeah, my name's Ladey, and I'm in my 60s now. Got my first granddaughter, my first grandchild, which just transforms your life anyway. So God's really good. And I spent my career in the charitable sector or third sector, worked up to CEO, and I was in a job which I thought was going to be my job for life, and it all went pear-shaped. And I had to really hold on to God during that time because things weren't fair, things were wrong, and I felt very much victimized. And God was just saying to me, I did place you there, but for other reasons you're coming out. Don't get bitter, get better, and I will give you far more at the end of this. And he has kept every single promise. It's taken us quite a few years, but now it's like hindsight is a pure A science, and you look back and you think, oh yes, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be doing this, I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be talking to you, Chris, today if that hadn't happened.
Yes, indeed. And as you can tell by her accent, she lives across the pond.
That's right. I'm in Lincolnshire, which is in the middle of, well, middle and to the right, so kind of northeast-ish of England.
There we go. And so I love modern technology. We can have friends and people connections from all over the globe because of the World Wide Web. And so, Ladey, before I actually get into our conversation, tell me how this new push that you're doing to help dyslexia diagnosed people write books, what's the background on that? And yeah, we'll go from there. What's the background?
Well, background is the new business that God brought me back into, because I did start off in this world at one point, is publishing and writing books. And I know we shared that in common too. And within that, I say to people, I am dyslexic and I love words. Or I'm a dyslexic and I love books. So I'm on my 11th, 12th book now. I do with God is I do one God book, one faith book, and then I do one secular book. So the last book was all about networking and networking online. And then my next book will be about a monkey puzzle tree with some Jesus parts in it. And the one after that will be all about dancing with the Father. So that's where I'm at. But I became clear as I was working with other people to publish their books that people were saying to me, well, I can never write books because I'm dyslexic. And I thought, well, I'm dyslexic, so what's the problem? And it can be what people have said. I've been very lucky. I've had a lot of support throughout my life. And in my business, my eldest daughter is not dyslexic. In fact, she's got a photographic memory. And she is an English, she's got a degree in English and works as a teacher. So she goes through all my work with a fine tooth comb. She takes after her dad. My youngest daughter is dyslexic, but we still manage to work together and have very good positions in the workplace.
And what you're saying is what I love about testimony. The testimony of the fact that because you were brought up, because you always had the positive influences around you, you were able to see beyond your so-called limitations into the possibilities of what you could do with that.
That's right. I mean, my mother was a head teacher. She wasn't a Christian. She isn't a Christian. I keep praying for her. Anyone out there wants to pray for my mum, please do. She's 90 and she still needs Jesus in her life. But she would correct my work, and then at 7 o'clock in the morning, I would have to go and copy my homework out properly and present it. So people didn't, because it was well in the 70s, and people just didn't recognize dyslexia like they do now.
That's true. And so I would encourage everybody that's listening that is either dyslexic or knows somebody that's dyslexic and really sees that that person is struggling with the esteem and the confidence, to share this podcast so that they can hear it from somebody who has it. And secondly, to encourage them to find people who will encourage and support them. There's that old saying that you become the best of the 5 people you hang out with. Well, if you hang out with people who are encouragers and supporters and believe in your potential, you're going to get there. So
that's right. That is just so right. And also having that Holy Spirit prompting you as to who to talk to, who to develop with.
Exactly. And so, based on your knowledge of you having dyslexia, tell me a little bit about how that affected you while you were growing up, how that affects, what you're involved with now, and if you ever did indeed feel disadvantaged.
Well, I didn't know I had dyslexia. I didn't, I had no idea until I was in my 40s. That's when it all got revealed. And it got revealed because my youngest daughter was diagnosed. And so I was having a conversation with her. She was about 16 at the time, because we had covered it up hugely because of our love of books and because of, just learning techniques, which you do. Dyslexic people are very creative and they can have great strategies for doing things in a slightly different way, but to get the same result. Some things take longer. Some ways they just find the shortcuts. It's quite amazing what dyslexic people get up to. They are more entrepreneurial because they think outside the box in this way. So my daughter has been diagnosed. So I said to her, well, what's it like? And she starts to tell me, well, words get jumbled up. For me, if I'm in distress, my vocabulary gets and there's some words I just can't say. And I try and it just gets messed up, but I can laugh about it now. But so I was always aware of that as a youngster. So she was diagnosed. She started to tell me what it was like. And I said, but that's the same for everyone. And she said, no, Mum, it's only the same for those who are dyslexic. And it was like, oh. So I got tested. I was doing my MBA at the time. And it just transformed things, because once it was, yes, you're high level because of the other strategies and training you're doing, but you're dyslexic, I got more time. So when it came to the maths and the accounting part, I got half an hour more than the other people on my course, my cohorts. And it was I just needed that extra time. When it came to writing essays and things, I was allowed to type. I was allowed to take a laptop into the exam room. Transformative, because I could type, but no one could ever read my writing. So it was perfect.
Well, I'm like struggling to follow that up with another comment, because that is so good. The awareness of what was going on actually became the catalyst for you to structure your approach. So
it did. And it's not until you're diagnosed that things slot into place. And then it was, oh, that's how that happens. Oh, that's why I react in this way. Oh, and it was like suddenly I got it, and then I could accept it, and then I could follow it through. And so, when I'm working with authors who are dyslexic, I say to them, don't try and write your book, talk it. Because the technology is so wonderful now. They can talk their books in something like otter.ai, or any way actually, and then it can be transposed, and they get the transcript, and then they get an editor to sort it out for them, or they have a copywriter. There's so much different ways they can do it but still tell their story in their books.
And that's a great segue, because I want you to share the program that you've developed, because you really believe that it doesn't matter how you come to the table, that if there's a book in you, the book can be produced, the book can be written and published. It's just a matter of finding the right way to get it out of you. And so you have designed a really great program specifically for dyslexics, as well as your other writing programs that you have for other authors. But this particular program was the one I was interested in because it's so unique. Share a little bit about it.
Well, it's part of the author mentoring program, and we go from where somebody is. And quite often, particularly if they're dyslexic, they haven't got the confidence, and they're thinking, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. So when we have to flip that and look at what you can do rather than what you can't do. And then it's, what is your story? What is it you're wanting to put into print, or ultimately as an ebook or even an audiobook? What is the story? And whether it's fiction or non-fiction, whether they're sharing their expertise, whether they want to share their life stories, a memoir book, however and whatever. So it's going from where they're at. And then I know all the processes to get a book done, and a lot of shortcuts along the way too. And because I'm on my 11th, 12th book now, so I've been there, done it, worn the t-shirt myself, and I've got about 25 authors that I've pushed, got them going too. And I view writing a book anyway like having a baby. So as far as I'm concerned, it starts off with really good sex. And that is the part where you're researching and you're thinking, oh yeah, I could write this, I could write that. Or you hear a piece of music and you think, oh, I need to put that into my book. Oh, those lyrics are great. Or you're at a sermon and something the pastor says. When I'm writing my books, I'll often listen to a sermon and then suddenly get an idea, and I'm off writing my own bits that I now want to have in my next book, because that's how the Holy Spirit works, to get to give you that bit. So that's the real sexy bit. Then comes the actual pregnancy. And the pregnancy is the writing itself, getting the words done, at least 25,000 for it to be a book. Then otherwise you just got a leaflet. And then you've got the editing, the beta readers, and all the bits that go into creating the manuscript, the finished clean copy. Then after pregnancy comes the actual day the book's born. So that's the birth, and that's the day it's printed. Then comes the exciting bit where you're telling the world. So it comes the baptism or the christening. And that's the bit where you're saying, here it is spoke. And then comes the parenting. And the parenting lasts years and years and years. And that is the distribution, promotion, marketing. And it's the bit most authors dislike the most, because they just want to go back to the sex and have their second book out.
I love that metaphor. And I just finished, not just finished, in 2019, I think I wrote my 5th book. And what I've learned with all the books that I've written is that each one of them had a purpose. It was an opportunity for me to put down on paper things that were important to me. Some of those books made money, others of those books didn't, and that's okay, because the point was to get the book that was up here onto paper and to let the work of why it was written be done. Right. There are several, I give away books for free sometimes, because you know what, I don't care if I get paid for it. It's more important to me that other people get the benefit of what I'm trying to share with them. So yes, absolutely.
right.
Do you have anything? Go ahead.
When I'm working with my authors, one I can usually pick up a typo at 50 yards, but that's because I've trained myself. But Abby Rose, my daughter, is far better as part of the team on that. But I look at it in a different way. I look at it as, is this all fitting together? Where does the writer want to go? And we do a lot of work at the beginning of why they're writing the book, what they want to get out of the book. And that's what I call a blueprint. And we check, has the book gone off course, or has it stayed true to what the original ideas were? And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But the dyslexic mind can look at things in a more creative way. And I will say, I will challenge people, have you thought of this, or have you thought of that? You're talking about this, I've just noticed a blog on it, and bring in all these different bits. But at the same time, when we come to the final edits, it goes through our sausage machine, which is my daughter and my husband, who is very much a report writer kind of person, and he reads through everything as well. It doesn't matter how much you proofread, a typo will escape. It's just the way of it. But it goes through as very different ways of looking at a book and the way it's being put together.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Ladey. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about her, or if you're interested in getting the book published by her with her help, her website is ladeyadey.com. And I'm so excited to be able to share you with her. And
thank you.
Do you have anything you want to end with?
I'll just end with the Book Academy, if I may.
Yeah, please go ahead.
It's open for anybody, author, avid reader, and it's a book club on steroids. We're taking Stephen King's premise that the more you read, the better you write. And that's what we do in the Book Academy. We meet once a month online. I've got quite a few people across the pond who are part of it. So it's a great celebration of reading and books.
And what's that website if they want to join?
It's still within the ladeyadey.com.
All right, so, great. Yeah. Well, thank you again, Ladey. I appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions, I'll go ahead and put Ladey's contact information, her email, or is her email okay if I put that in?
Email is absolutely fine.
Since she's across the pond for us, it would be long distance for a phone call with those of us that don't have international phone plans. So I'll put her email, you can get a hold of her, and let's just see what happens, because all kinds of opportunities are out there. So thank you again, Ladey. I appreciate it. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Chris.